Hello and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we want to learn to avoid some important mistakes, so let's get started. First, this is not correct.
Take a course about English.
I cannot say take a course about English. Well, maybe if you're studying the origins of the language, but that's not what she's talking about. We have to use the preposition in. You take a course in English, or you take an English course, but we cannot say you take a course about English. Not in this case. Example, he's taking an English course, or he's taking a course in English. Let's practice. Is he taking an English course? That's right, he's taking an English course. Is he taking a course in English? That's right, he's taking a course in English, not about English, in English. This is also not correct.
One of the courses that has been a bestseller on our platform called linguatrip is a course called From Intermediate to Advanced, where in 30 days we cover majority of the topics that you need to go over.
I cannot say in 30 days we cover majority of the topics. When I use the word majority, I have to use the article the majority. It's specific. So it's correct to say in 30 days we cover the majority of the topics. Or I can say in the future. In 30 days, they will cover the majority of the topics. I have to say the majority, not just majority. Let's practice. In 30 days, will they cover the majority of the topics? That's right. In 30 days, they will cover the majority of the topics. This is also not correct.
Vocabulary, we cover motivation aspect.
I cannot say we cover motivation aspect. The word aspect is countable. And there's more than one, so I have to say motivation aspects. Or I can say specific, the motivation aspect. But the best option is to make it plural, motivation aspects. We cover motivation aspects. This is correct. We have to put an S on the word aspect to make it plural. So example, they cover, or in the future they will cover motivation aspects. Let's practice. Will they cover motivation aspects? That's right, they will cover motivation aspects. This is also not correct.
I suddenly realized that I have to speak perfect English in order to score my perfect score.
I cannot say I have to speak perfect English in order to score my perfect score. It's not my perfect score, because you haven't taken the test yet. After you take the test, you can say my score was perfect. But if you haven't taken the test yet, it's not your score yet. So it's a score, a perfect score. It's a countable noun. We have to use the article a. So you can say, I have to speak perfect English in order to score a perfect score. Not my perfect score. A perfect score. And if you don't want to say score 2 times, you can use the verb get. I have to speak perfect English in order to get a perfect score. This is the best way to say it. Example, he has to study hard in order to get a perfect score. Let's practice. Does he have to study hard in order to get a perfect score? That's right, he has to study hard in order to get a perfect score. Not his perfect score, it's one in general. A perfect score. This is also not correct.
Or you take course for engineers.
I cannot say you take course for engineers. Course is a countable word. You have to use the article a course for engineers. Or if it's more specific, you can say the course for engineers. That's a specific one. Example, he wants to be an engineer, so he has to take a course for engineers. It's a course. It's one countable noun. Let's practice. He wants to be an engineer. Does he have to take a course for engineers? That's right. He has to take a course for engineers. Remember, it's a course. Use the article a for one in general. This is also not correct.
If you feel like you are a person who likes to learn language,
I cannot say if you're a person who likes to learn language. Language is a countable noun. We have to use an article. A language. Or I can use plural and say languages. If you're a person who likes to learn languages, this is the best option. Because you're speaking in general, we use plural. If you're a person who likes to learn languages. If you're a person who likes to learn a language, it's correct, but the plural works better here. Example, she's a person who likes to learn languages. Let's practice. Is she a person who likes to learn languages? That's right. She's a person who likes to learn languages. This is also not correct.
Like there are two most challenging listening exercises in English.
I cannot say there are two most challenging listening exercises in English. When I use the superlative, most challenging, I cannot say there are or there is. I have to change the structure. It doesn't work. I have to change it. I have to say there are two listening exercises in English that are the most challenging. Example, I cannot say there are two tallest buildings in the city. I'm using the superlative, so I cannot use there are. I have to change the structure. I cannot say there are two tallest buildings in the city. I have to change it. I have to say it like this. There are two buildings in the city that are the tallest. We have to change the structure here. Let's practice. Are there two buildings in the city that are the tallest? That's right. There are two buildings in the city that are the tallest. Or I can say there are two buildings that are the tallest in the city. This is also correct. Let's practice. Are there two buildings that are the tallest in the city? That's right. There are two buildings that are the tallest in the city. This is also not correct.
Try to understand Scottish accent and try to interact.
I cannot say try to understand Scottish accent. Accent is a countable noun, so I have to use the article the Scottish accent. Sometimes when we talk about accent, we say For example, he speaks with a British accent. When we use the verb speak, we use the article He speaks with a British accent. But if you say I try to understand the Scottish accent. Let's practice. Does he speak with a British accent? That's right, he speaks with a British accent. Use the article Example, it's hard to understand the Scottish accent. Let's practice. What do you think? Is it hard to understand the Scottish accent? That's right, it's hard to understand the Scottish accent. This is also not correct.
Like, it's just a great visualization tool. So
I cannot say a great visualization tool. The word is pronounced differently. We don't say visualization. We say visualization. So it's not the z sound like zebra, it's the zh sound like usual, visual. We have the long oo sound plus the o. So we have the w sound in the middle linking the vowels. The w sound like what and when. Visualization. Example, visualization is important when learning a language. Let's practice. Is visualization important when learning a language? That's right. Visualization is important when learning a language. Not visualization, but visualization. This is also not correct.
my daughter is 4 years old. She's going to be 5 soon. And sometimes she asks me questions like,
I cannot say she's going to be 5 soon. Soon? The word is pronounced soon. We have to use a long oo sound like moon. Soon. Noon. It's the long oo sound. Not like good and book. Not soon, but soon. Example. It's 11:45. So is it going to be noon soon? Yeah, it's going to be noon soon. Let's practice. It's 11:45. Is it going to be noon soon? That's right, it's going to be noon soon. So we saw a lot of situations where we learned how to use articles correctly. Keep watching to learn to avoid more mistakes with articles. So remember, when talking about your symptoms, in English we always use the article a. For example, I have a headache. I have a cough. I have a runny nose. Remember to use a before symptoms. It's not correct to say,
it's just you have a runny nose.
So you say, I have a fever. When you have a fever, you take your temperature. It's not correct to say,
let me measure your temperature.
So remember, when you have a fever, you take your temperature. So we say measure the temperature only when we're talking about air temperature. When you're talking about the human body, we always say take. Take your temperature. I think I have a fever. I need to take my temperature. Remember these two important words, cold and flu. If you talk about cold, we say a cold. I have a cold. If you say common cold, we say a common cold. But if you say flu, we say the flu. I have the flu. I need some medicine because I have the flu. Or I need some medicine because I have a cold. It's not correct to say
It could be caused by flu, or it could be just common cold. Common cold is what you have.
So remember, a cold or the flu. The doctor calls the pharmacy. The doctor calls in the prescription and you pick it up. You pick up your prescription at the pharmacy. We don't say collect your prescription, we say pick up. So I need to pick up my prescription or I need to pick it up. Remember, we don't say
I've sent them the prescription, you can collect it right away.
We say pick up your prescription or pick it up. Also, avoid using this phrase.
So common cold is when you just feel slightly unwell.
That's right. We don't say unwell. We say I feel sick or I'm not feeling well. So in America, we don't use unwell. We say I'm sick, I'm feeling sick, or I'm not feeling well. Let's practice. Does he have a runny nose?
Yes, he has a runny nose.
Does he have a runny nose? That's right, he has a runny nose. Does she have a headache?
Yes, she has a headache.
Does she have a headache? That's right, she has a headache. Let's practice. Does he have a cold?
Yes, he has a cold.
Does he have a cold? That's right, he has a cold. Let's practice. Does he have the flu?
Yes, he has the flu.
Does he have the flu? That's right, he has the flu. Let's practice. So, he has a fever. Does he need to take his temperature?
Yes, he needs to take his temperature.
He has a fever. Does he need to take his temperature? That's right, he needs to take his temperature. Let's practice. Can he pick up his prescription today or tomorrow?
He can pick up his prescription today.
Can he pick up his prescription today or tomorrow? That's right, he can pick up his prescription today. So remember, when talking about symptoms, we use a for one. Example, a headache, a runny nose. And remember the two special words, a cold and the flu. And remember, if you have a fever, you take your temperature. And if you need a prescription, you go to the pharmacy to pick it up.
Thank you for watching.
And if you want to learn more about sicknesses and articles, check out the link in the description to watch another video like this one. We'll see you next time.